artificial intelligence. You've probably heard this term a lot recently. Within the past 4 to 5 years, generative AI specifically is the newest innovation. Midjourney, DALL-E, Stable Diffusion, Gemini, Google Image FX, Bing's Copilot. It feels like every company is trying to create their own version of this new innovative technology. This technology is available for almost anyone with an electronic device to use, from AI writing to music, paintings, animation, and many, many other tasks. This technology is progressing faster and faster than we can even keep up with. In this video specifically, I want to talk about how exactly this new piece of technology affects artistic spaces. I'll also be occasionally touching on how AI art has affected the furry community, simply because I am a furry and my online presence is largely in that subculture. So if I relate certain elements of the topic to the furry fandom, it's simply because my audience and I are more grounded to that specific artistic subculture, but these issues can pertain to art on a much broader scale as well. I'd also like to stick to talking about specifically the effect on AI on individual artists and local art communities and freelance artists, not as much the art industry as a whole, which they are actively being affected, but it's far too broad of a subject. I'd like to stick to a bit smaller, more personal framework than a grander economic scale. A lot of artists become incredibly heated about the topic of AI artwork, some of them not even referring to image generation as an art form at all, and referring to it as AI slop. AI users get very defensive about all the backlash. They see it as this modern, more convenient way to create concepts and ideas. It's currently a very heated debate, and I don't want to particularly attack or be too harsh on AI art enjoyers. I'd just like to try and share some of my thoughts on this technology and my opinions on certain talking points used within these discussions. I also want to share why I'm personally pretty apprehensive and concerned about the effects of this new technology. But if anything I say is incorrect, or you feel like I didn't touch on any key talking points, please feel free to voice your opinion in the comments. I want to be as open to the discussion as much as possible, but I'd also like to share my stance on the topic as eloquently as I can, and hopefully you'll understand how I've come to the conclusions that I've come to. I've seen artists defend AI art by saying that it helps improve their artwork, or they use it as a tool to find references or generate ideas. I've seen many artists say that AI has been helpful for generating custom reference images, or even getting inspiration for ideas for their work. Unfortunately, this tool has been proven to be not as useful as a guide as it's marketed to be. If you're using AI to generate image photos, the results tend to have awkward compositions, unrealistic or inaccurate lighting, or misshapen anatomy. Using references of real photographs taken by photographers will better help improve your work compared to AI-generated images. If you're looking for reference photos for artwork, here are multiple sites that can help provide high-quality references for studying. Also, be wary that if you're using a stock photo site, you have the chance of running into AI-generated images. For example, Adobe Stock is riddled with AI photography. And while Adobe Stock does have labeling for AI-generated images, not every stock photo site is keen on regulating it. Also, just drawing what's around you and doing life studies can train your hand-eye coordination to be more observant to what things look like around you. This trains you to distinguish what you're actually observing versus what you think you're seeing. Using AI for concept ideation and creating iterations of ideas might be nice in a pinch and save you time of thumbnailing and throwing around ideas in your head. It may seem like a huge time saver to type in a detailed blurb of what you want and then use the results as your rough draft. This may be a very nice and convenient way to streamline your artwork and create concepts much quicker. However, according to multiple studies, the more you rely on AI for ideas, the harder it is to create concepts on your own. It's also been researched that using AI to assist with concepts is almost worse for your creativity compared to just having the AI do the work for you entirely. I'd like to bring up a study from the University of Toronto. They had a very interesting observation on how LLMs, or language learning models, affect creativity. Let me try and explain how and what they tested. The researchers ran 2 experiments. The test subjects were broken into 3 groups: a control group with no AI, and 2 experimental groups who had interacted with the AI in slightly different ways. In one experiment, subjects performed what they called a convergent thinking task that required them to identify a single word that tied together 3 given words with dispersed meaning. For example, they were given words coat, gun, and boobs, and they could tie the words together to create the word rack. On the divergent thinking task, they were shown an image of a common object associated with a typical use, such as a shoe or a tire, and they were told to make creative alternative uses for that object. Participants in the control group were given no AI assistance, while participants in the 2 experimental groups had the AI either generate answers for them in warm-up questions or had an AI tutor help guide the participant to the answers with the warm-up questions. Across both divergent and convergent thinking experiments, the group showed what the researchers referred to as a homogenization effect, meaning the ideas they came up with showed less diversity than the control groups. We've designed and conducted 2 pre-registered parallel experiments with 1,100 participants that assess how these low forms of LLM assistance influences unassisted human creativity, compared to the control group without AI assistance at all. Figure 1 illustrates the high-level design of the experiments. In both experiments, participants were randomly assigned one of 3 conditions: standard LLM assistance, coach-like LLM guidance, or no assistance, which is the control group. They engaged in a series of exposure rounds, which they completed creative tasks using their assigned form of LLM assistance. After a delay period, participants then completed the same type of creative tasks unassisted in the test rounds. The design allowed us to examine both the immediate effects of LLM assistance during the exposure rounds and the residual effects of unassisted creative performance during the test rounds. These were the results of the experiment. Research has shown that LLM usage led to the homogenization of ideas within the groups, where participants tend to converge on similar outcomes when using AI-generated suggestions. Even when people stop using LLMs that provide strategic frameworks for thinking, the homogenization effect can persist. In our divergent thinking experiment, participants who received LLM-generated strategies exhibited reduced diversity in their ideas both during and after LLM use, suggesting that such frameworks may have a lasting impact on creative processes, potentially stifling the generation of more varied and unconventional ideas. In our convergent thinking experiment, participants who received LLM guidance during exposure performed worse in the test rounds compared to those who received direct answers. When creating something, whether that be drawing, writing, or making music, certain parts of your brain are being worked. Your prefrontal cortex, which is essentially your brain's control center, is used when you're deep in thought or piecing together new ideas. Multiple smaller regions of the brain, referred to as the default mode network, or DMN, are typically used when you're daydreaming. This network is also highly active when you engage in spontaneous thinking and imagination. Also, your temporal lobes and the hippocampus are used for recollecting memories and lived experiences. All of these areas of the brain are activated with creative ideation, because creativity is often paired with your personal memories and your own knowledge. According to this article, scientists have also recently discovered that artists have significantly more cerebral activity than non-artists. They found that people with artistic ability have more gray matter in the regions of the brain that control fine motor control and procedural memory. So what I'm trying to say is that training your brain to come up with ideas in your head and encouraging ideation yourself is integral to maintaining creativity and original ideas. AI and artificial intelligence is not the same as just a new technological advancement to making art easier. This piece of technology removes the creative ideation process almost entirely. For example, the technological advancement of traditional pen and paper to digital art and a tablet. Despite the art being done on a screen, it is simply a different medium. Both digital and traditional artists have to train their hand-eye coordination to draw what they imagine in their head. The act of drawing actually has physical and neurological effects on your body. Even if you're not necessarily a well-trained artist, the fact of simply drawing still benefits you. According to this article, drawing helps improve your memory retention. It helps train your brain to be more observant to your surroundings, helps communicate your feelings visually, reduce your depression by producing serotonin and endorphins, and can also improve your self-image. And while you may reap some of these benefits using an AI generator to help with creative ideas, you definitely receive a significantly less amount. AI isn't theft, it just takes inspiration, just like human artists. This is another argument used by the AI art community. The process in which AI creates original art versus how human artists take inspiration from artists is an entirely different process. Artificial intelligence creates an image based on text added by the user's input. AI cannot create anything without datasets. These datasets are harvested from across the internet. Billions of images accumulated are then used to train the computer. AI is intelligent, but not sentient. It does not have the ability to feel emotions or develop thoughts like humans. If you ask an AI an opinion on an art piece, and you ask if they think it's beautiful, it will compile an amalgamation of all of the datasets and create a response of an opinion made by humans. It repeats and homogenizes the billions of opinions humans already have. This means without the hard work of artists, this technology could not create images or ideas on its own. This article by the Smithsonian talks in depth about the harm that is affecting artists with these machines, scraping artists' work for the training of this software. The harm to artists is not hypothetical. Works generated by AI image products in the style of a particular artist are already sold on the internet, siphoning commissions from the artists themselves. There's currently a class action lawsuit on Stability AI. It was filed in a United States federal court in San Francisco by 3 visual artists on behalf of the visual arts community. Unfortunately, copyright law is incredibly difficult, and AI does create technically original works with its input, so we have to see in the future how things will play out. This technology is incredibly new and hasn't been able to be properly regulated or governed, but as of writing this, it may be very difficult or even illegal for any form of legal resistance against these AI software companies. But the fact that these AI art software companies financially benefit from the original works and harvest the data without their consent, allowing people to create copies of work in the styles of creators without any compensation, is beginning to upset people. Also, due to this new bill recently passed in the House in the United States, referred to as the Big Beautiful Bill, has a section discussing the regulations of AI artwork. The section of the bill covering AI is referred to as Section 43201, Artificial Intelligence and Information Technology Modernization Initiative. No state or political subdivision thereof may enforce, during the 10-year period beginning on the date of the enactment of this act, any law or regulation of that state or political subdivision thereof limiting, restricting, or otherwise regulating artificial intelligence systems, or automated decision systems entered into interstate commerce. That is a direct quote from the Big Beautiful Bill itself. So essentially, the government wants to make it illegal for any laws to regulate artificial intelligence models for the next 10 years. The current administration in power has no interest in empowering human intelligence and is heavily pushing for mass implementation of artificial intelligence. Within this bill, they define AI as any computational process derived from machine learning, statistical modeling, data analytics, or artificial intelligence that issues a simplified output, including a score, classification, or recommendation to materially influence or replace human decision-making. The ability for humans to create art is actively attempting to be streamlined and commodified with image generation. The skill of creative thinking and human intelligence is being framed as obsolete. This skill of imaginative thinking is proven scientifically to be emotionally fulfilling, rewarding, and beneficial for both the consumer and the creator of artwork. But the creative journey, the process, and humanity of art is seen as a waste of time and inefficient. Which, in my opinion, it's not very chill. The more I research about this technology, the more unchill it feels. But I don't want to cause a panic, but also, yeah, that's something that's happening and we're trying to cope with it, I guess. AI makes art more affordable. I recently made a video about the wealth disparity in the furry community, where I discussed how cheaper or homemade fursuiters tend to feel more isolated and ostracized in the community. I got a few comments saying how people should feel more free to use AI artwork to create furry art of their personas or characters without backlash, complaining that human artists charge hundreds of dollars, take much longer, and commissioning artists and art can be really out of the budget. And I will agree that yes, certain artists have a tendency to price their work very, very high. I also agree that a custom piece of artwork done by a human takes much more time than 30 to 40 seconds with an image generator. But also understand that you're not necessarily entitled to high quality custom artwork. Art from an experienced artist is a luxury item and isn't essentially a necessity. A necessity would be something like food and water and shelter, not someone's furry art. But on the other hand, I do completely understand the desire to have cute custom art of your character. The furry community is centered around creating art of your anthro-animal characters and representing yourself with this unique and personal venue of expression. Looking at artwork has actually been proven to have positive effects on your brain. According to the Smithsonian article, when a person views something they find beautiful, for example, a face or an abstract painting, their brain's pleasure centers light up and its visual sensory center is engaged more intensely. This is accompanied by a release of dopamine. So it is very understandable the yearning for visually stimulating content. Like when I get fan art or I get commissioned art of my fursona, it makes me really happy because it's really cool. But what can you do to get cute art if you can't afford to commission professional or famous artists you like? Well, there's plenty of ways to get art for very, very cheap, if not completely for free. Allow me to list some of the alternatives to generated images that I personally really like. Let's say you really want to create a purple badger fursona, for example, but you aren't exactly skilled enough to draw something that complex, but you want to have a basic mock-up of what you want the character and its features to look like. One way to do this is simply search up free art bases online, for example, free Anthro Badger base, and make sure to check the links to make sure the artist says that you can use it. Essentially what a base is that it is a blank pre-drawn outline where you can color it in yourself. You can either print out the base on paper and color it in, or download a free art program like IBS Paint or Fire Alpaca. Then you can use this base. Doing this removes the labor of having to know how to draw and allows you to just color it in like a coloring book. Another fun way to create your character visually is with avatar customization. Websites like PicCrew and avatar customization sites can let you customize your own character. All you need to do is select the features and colors you want on this pre-made artwork with no drawing or coloring skills needed. Plenty of artists create Animal Jam avatars or Gacha Life designs for character reference sheets. Commission smaller artists. Some smaller or beginner artists with a smaller following have lower commission prices that can be saved up for as well. Along with art raffles and giveaways that artists do sometimes, you just have to keep an eye out for it. Also, Art Fight. If you don't know what Art Fight is, every July it is an online event hosted for an entire month. It's a game where users can register and be assigned to one of two teams that earn points by attacking artists by drawing their characters. You can just submit bases of your characters without drawing, and you could have the possibility of getting free art. So saying that AI generators make art more affordable, as if other free alternatives do not exist, is kind of disingenuous. Also, generating AI images does not only cost whatever the monthly subscription is for the program, it also has a very detrimental environmental impact. Now, this phrase of AI is bad for the environment is thrown around a lot, and many people don't actually understand what people mean by that. I was initially very confused about what this phrase meant too, but according to this really well done Bloomberg article, it explains the concept very well. When an image is generated, the input is sent to a data center. AI data centers are actual buildings with physical servers which store and receive information. The more input these centers get, they start to produce heat. Think about how your computer starts heating up when you have too many tabs open. In order to prevent these systems from overheating, you have to cool them down with either water or air conditioning, aka electricity. According to the article, since 2022, about 2/3 of data centers have been built in places that already have high levels of water stress. While these centers are popping up all over the country, 5 states alone account for 72% of new centers in high-stress areas. And this information was collected in 2022. It's currently 2025, and AI is being pushed more and more and is expanding exponentially. Imagine how many more centers have been built since then. Now, these data centers are competing for fresh water and air conditioning with communities and people living in the cities affected. According to this article by MIT, it estimates that data centers could represent 6 to 12% of total U.S. electricity use by 2028. Communities and companies will notice this type of rapid growth in electricity demand. It will put pressure on energy prices and on the ecosystem. AI makes art accessible. This argument is just untrue and can be easily disproven by simply looking at all of human history. The fact that humans were able to create murals in caves with colorful rocks, pigmented minerals, and plant materials proves that art can be created with literally anything and is the most accessible form of expression. And if you're currently watching this with a cell phone, you can access free drawing programs, endless tutorials on YouTube, and TikTok. Never before in human history have we had such accessible, unfettered access to information. Finding art communities and subreddits online and sharing your artwork to help each other improve is completely free. Humans are born with the cognitive ability to imagine and innovate, but AI companies profit off of making these seemingly miraculous instances of biology seem outdated and replaceable. They aim to modernize society with a product that can do something very similar to the human brain without the unique human aspect. Does AI art affect the furry fandom? If you're not a furry or have no real interest in this section of the video, it's fine to skip this section. I just want to share my own uniquely human experiences. The furry community is an art-fueled subculture that I've been passionate and involved with since I was a kid. The concept of anthropomorphism has always inspired me. I'm inspired by my partner, who is an incredible sculptor and a gorgeous painter. My friend group is full of artists and imaginative people. They inspire me to study art, improve my skills, and express myself with pictures. But my work is far from perfect though. I struggle a lot with anatomy and proportion, and despite taking a perspective drawing class in college, it's still very difficult for me to understand that concept and implement it into my art. I have visions in my head that don't always come out exactly like I envision them. But I don't draw for the purpose of creating the most perfect piece of art on a technical level. I personally draw to express a concept. It's a way for me to escape from the outside world and enter a flow state. Art is very fun and meditative for me. Even art that's not perfect quality or visually appealing to most people doesn't negate its value. It's just another form of communication. Even if your art isn't at a professional level, you should still keep doing it because you deserve to. It would be like you having an opinion and trying to say the thoughts out loud, but then having the thought that, well, my sentences I just spoke didn't sound like beautiful poetry. I guess I should just not ever speak again. Like, that just sounds a little silly. Art is a skill and a learnable one. It's just a way to share one thought to another. So, does this new technology specifically affect furries? Well, of course, but it may not have as huge of an initial impact as other artistic spaces. Furries love self-expression. That's the entire point. Authenticity and individuality are celebrated. Most furries with current technology find the idea of having to AI generate a persona incredibly counterintuitive. The point of a persona is that it's a reflection of you, and it's something very deeply personal. And reducing the personalization feels a bit confusing to many furries. Also, from what I've seen, furries also value the back and forth of communicating with an artist to perfectly portray their persona. They'll pay hundreds and thousands of dollars for an artist to perfectly create their character how they envision it. Many furries I know value the artist just as much as their art. It's more than just the finished product, it's the creative journey. So, what do we do? Well, for the impending AI takeover, I can't really give any concrete plans on what to do, but organizing as a community and some individual action can help push us in the right direction and feel a more sense of control. If you personally find the replacement of humans with AI not very chill, consider calling your representative and telling them not to pass this big beautiful bill. As of June 2025, we citizens in the United States have the right to protest about issues like these. If the idea of megatech companies having immunity to regulation and free reign to do whatever they want is not really your thing, then you can voice it. But on a local level, understand where AI art enjoyers are coming from as well. If you know anybody who uses AI generators or ChatGPT, try not to immediately act hostile. Respond with educating about the impacts of this technology. Maybe send them this video or encourage sending them different ways to explore ideas and express themselves visually that doesn't use so much water and electricity and gives money to these really twisted companies, I guess. But at the end of the day, we should encourage creative expression and not discourage it. But yes, that's the end of this video. I'm so sorry for taking such a long hiatus. I got sick and then had to juggle a bunch of personal stuff, so I didn't really have a lot of time to just sit and write. I'm also currently taking summer classes, but I really hope to try and get more on a consistent schedule within the next few weeks. Also, I happen to get a new microphone as well. I don't know if you'll be able to notice the difference in quality. I really hope that it doesn't sound as bad this time, but if you hear any background noises, I really apologize for that. I'm still learning. But yeah, let me know what you'd like to see next. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, bye.